이어서 함께할 학생은 해로스쿨 9학년 문석환 학생입니다. 문석환 학생은 해외 체류 중인 관계로 영상으로 발표가 준비돼 있습니다. 뿌리, 우리의 그룹, Where I Come From 이란 주제로 준비한 발표 영상으로 만나보시죠.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm currently studying at Harrow School in England, which is where the ex-British Prime Minister Winston Churchill used to study. My journey to Harrow School began when I was 12 years old, and recently I acquired an honorary academic scholarship. Amidst the horrors of the COVID-19 pandemic, let me take this opportunity to thank my parents first of all for all their endeavours and support throughout this unprecedented journey. Indeed, I do emotionally break at times. I do miss my family and my mother's food. But in these cases, I think about my future and feel blessed that I can interact with teenagers all around the world. When I introduced the April 3rd uprising at school, I referred to Jeju as the island of peace because I am well aware of its tragic history. In fact, I've contributed to a variety of activities over the past 3 years to disseminate its tragic history. Amongst them, the most memorable was the distribution of the Camellia Badge in the City Hall that symbolises the sacrifices of the victims in the massacre. But what was my motivation for these contributions? That is pertinent to the origin of my family. My great-grandfather came from Sinchon, where there were 400 casualties during the incident. It was the adjacent village to Bukchon, the setting of the famous Suni Samchon by Hyun Kyung, which was the first novel to deal with the incident. It's my great-grandfather who saw with his own eyes the houses burning and his innocent neighbours being killed by the military without remorse. He fled to Japan to survive, and he thought he could return. However, unfortunately, his family was divided forever. My great-grandmother was unable to go to Japan to meet him. Once he passed away in the foreign land, he is finally buried in his home ground. Of course, I cannot fully understand this horrors and torments, but now I can empathize a tiny bit through my journey to England alone. For how long would he have missed his family? For how much would he have wanted to return? I'm also heartbroken when I think of my great-grandmother who nurtured her children alone in decimated Sinchon. And I do acknowledge that I'm able to stand here today because of her efforts and the much agony she had gone through to survive. Although we are in different situations, many other families will have their own adversities because 30,000 people, the 10th of the Jeju population, were affected directly and indirectly, as well as their families. We really should respect the Jeju grandmothers and grandfathers with veneration for how they overcame the period for their descendants. I believe that the Jeju Islanders have rooted peace to the land. Currently, we are lamenting the victims and discussing the value of peace to prevent such tragedy from repeating. However, I believe that it is more important to preserve and raise what they have left behind. We have the responsibility to take care and protect the tree of peace from withering. The tree will bear fruit, and we will share the fruit with people all around the world. Ahead, I will take the initiative in globalizing the crisis of the April 3rd uprising. Bombing of Guernica in Spain, Auschwitz concentration camp in Germany, Nanjing massacre in China, Battle of Okinawa in Japan, and finally, April 3rd uprising in Korea. Together, the stories of worldwide genocides will be told and discuss about what we should do to prevent them from repeating. Although my body will be abroad and my dream will be opened to the world, I will never forget that where I come from is Jeju Island. I promise.